Welcome to the Connected Health Podcast, where we reconnect the dots between your body, your habits, and your health. I'm your host, Vanessa Cohn, an integrative health practitioner, personal trainer, and the founder of Connected Habits Coaching. This podcast is here to help you understand your body, heal root causes, and build sustainable habits that lead to real transformation. Whether you're dealing with fatigue, hormonal issues, gut problems, or just want to feel like yourself again, you're in the right place. I'm so excited for today's episode because it's a doozy. This one is a doozy. I wanted to talk about the integrative and holistic approach to health and wellness, diving into what it is, to learn about the benefits of prevention. We're going to dive a little bit into history and how the body really works for best health outcomes. The definition of holistic means to support the whole person, which is the mind, the body, and the spirit. And on the integrative side, that is blending the best of modern diagnostics when it comes to nutrition, movement, mindset, and even traditional and natural medicine. It is an approach that I think is the best because it takes into account the whole person, and it takes into account what has been around for a long time, new advances in technology and medicine, and bringing it all together for humans to feel whole and healthy. The emphasis of integrative and holistic care is prevention, because the body is born into the world, for the most part, having everything that it needs to survive and be well. But the focus is prevention, while some modern medical systems really focus on reactivity. Once you are ill, what are you going to do? Once you are sick, here's how we treat that. But prevention is being proactive so that we keep the body in a healthy, happy state so that illness and disease doesn't really become an issue. Integrative health identifies the root causes of illnesses. For example, I work with clients with some blood sugar issues. And instead of, here's some medication for your blood sugar, which is the more conventional model of medicine, I look at their choices, their nutrition, and health history to see what is the root cause, what is the reason for your blood sugar to be high. Nothing happens spontaneously or on a whim. There's a series of choices behind a health issue that once we make changes to those choices, the health outcome completely changes. We believe that the body is not broken, that symptoms are signals. I've said this in episodes past, where you feel something uncomfortable in your body. It's just your body trying to get your attention, say, hey, I'm here. Can you pay attention to me? Something's wrong. And that's what we do as integrative health practitioners is we pay attention to those. We look at data from tests and labs, and we try to come up with a whole big picture of what's going on and how to treat things at the root cause. We like to listen to symptoms and not suppress them. Some medications will block things, suppress things, artificially induce things. And what we're trying to do in the integrative and holistic health space is to listen and learn and observe and make choices from there. Let me preface this whole podcast episode with, I am not anti-conventional medicine. I do think that there are some things that are very helpful for life-saving measures. There is a time and a place for all of it. But if you go to the conventional medical system expecting for all of your health problems to be fixed, that's the wrong way to look at things. Let me give you a little bit of history to why we're here when it comes to a more widely accepted certain medical model. Back in the day, in the 1800s and before, most medical schools in the United States actually taught natural methods, things like homeopathy, herbal remedies, natural cures, and herbs for all of the things that people would have ailments for. But something shifted in the year 1910. There was a man by the name of Abraham Flexner. He was a school teacher, wasn't a doctor, wasn't a medical professional of any kind. He was sent by the Carnegie Foundation, ultimately funded by John D. Rockefeller, to evaluate medical education. So he looked at all the medical schools across the United States and wrote this report with his findings. Ultimately, his report labeled most non-drug-based healing as quackery and unscientific. So as a result of his report, instigated by the Carnegie Foundation and John D. Rockefeller, resulted in over 50% of medical institutions being closed, including the ones that accepted women and the ones that accepted Black students. The schools that were shut down also mostly emphasized natural methods of healing. You can Google the report and read it for yourself in its entirety. And with the publishing of the Flexner Report, he actually supported the American Medical Association in giving more funding and support to medical institutions and schools that would promote drug-based intervention. Why is that important? Because a lot of pharmaceuticals are used and made with petroleum. Petroleum is oil. That pivotal moment of the publishing of the Flexner Report of 1910 drastically shaped medical education to focus on pharmaceuticals and surgery and not necessarily on prevention, nutrition, and natural methods. Personally, I don't think it's right for people who have money and not medical education and medical backgrounds to be doing reports like this or to be funding projects like this, but this is the world that we live in. We can also thank John D. Rockefeller for increasing the length of medical education to include many more years of schooling. Back in the day, it was only a couple of years of schooling and it wasn't standardized at all. So there are some benefits to changes, but also some drawbacks. So now that the whole holistic and integrative field, since back then it was deemed quackery, people started to accept that, and medical systems started turning out new professionals that are taught under certain standards. And when people with money and vested interests create those standards, you can see how generations of professionals have come out of that same system. And that's why we have what we have going on today. I'm going to give you a little bit more history. There was a 2005 Environmental Working Group study that is commonly known as the 10 Americans study. And this study found 287 industrial chemicals found in the umbilical cord blood of newborns. Here's some statistics from that. There were toxins that included mercury, pesticides, flame retardants, and Teflon chemicals. So when these babies were growing in utero, they were exposed to that from their mother. More statistics. Of the ones that they found in that study back in 2005, 180 of those chemicals are linked to cancer. 217 are neurotoxic, toxic to the brain. 208 caused birth defects. So we kind of inherit this toxic load from the time that we're born. And it's hard to think that we don't even stand a chance against everything that's going on in the world that can lead to birth defects, disease, and illness. But this is what makes being proactive so much more important. We have a saying in the integrative health space, and it's genetics load the gun, but environments pull trigger. Basically, we're born with some of these toxins in our bloodstream. We're born with the genetics that we have from past generations. And those genes actually don't always turn on unless you're exposed to certain things in the environment or make certain choices when it comes to taking care of your body. The study of that is called epigenetics. And when I was studying psychology in college, it absolutely blew my mind. The fact that you have genes in your system that can be turned off and turned on based on the choices that you make and the things that you are exposed to. Some of that are things that cannot be helped, but that puts so much more control in your hands than you even think that you have. The choices that you make, which is the foundation of my business, Connected Habits Coaching, making those choices that make better habits that ultimately determine how healthy your lifestyle is. It's so important. There's a concept that we talk about in the holistic health space also, that we have a proverbial bucket. We're born with a certain amount of toxic load in the bucket, but with the choices that we make, the things that we're exposed to, those start to fill up in the bucket. When the bucket overflows, our body is unable to handle everything that's being thrown at it, and we start to get things like illness and sickness. Our job is to reduce the incoming load by taking care of the parts of our bodies that are meant to detox everything, making sure that our immune system is high and functioning, supplying our body with adequate nutrients, carbs, fat, protein, vitamins, minerals for all of the healthy reactions to take place in our body appropriately, and to continue to fill our body with good things like clean water, clean air, and healthy foods. I want to give you guys a really helpful resource, and it is a recent podcast that I heard with Dr. William Lee. He's got an incredible channel on YouTube with lots of helpful information where he answers people's health questions. He's an MD, but he is really open to integrative approach, and his specialty is cancer. On the episode, he actually mentioned that we're all fighting little cancers all of the time, but sometimes our body's not able to keep up with that and it starts to grow and multiply. And that can be for reasons that our immune system is down fighting another infection. Maybe our immune system is down because we've had many rounds of antibiotics in the past and our gut is not able to mount a big enough response to kill the cancer cells so that they multiply. On the other hand, our bodies can fight small cancers every single day by fortifying our organs, our organ systems, making sure our nutrient intake is great, and our body is able to get rid of all of the toxins and the waste in our body efficiently. Also on that episode, the host was giving a personal anecdote about how he had some gut issues like bloating and belching, and he had worked with a functional medicine practitioner and done GI maps and stool labs and got some benefits, but also wanted to collaborate with a gastrointestinal specialist. So he brought his labs over to the GI specialist, and the GI specialist would look at him and say, "This is great, but what do you want me to do for you? I can give you an antacid to help with the belching." So what that anecdote really showed me was that there's such a different range of specialties between the two systems. One is based on, let's look at root causes and prevention. And the other one is, oh, you're uncomfortable, let me give you a pill for that. And I really wish that there were better ways for both of the schools of thought to work together, because I do think that natural stuff and traditionally things that worked for centuries and centuries can work with modern things for people to become whole. But if there are over 100 years of natural medicine being deemed as quackery and almost propaganda against those sort of things, really set people up in a mindset where only going to a standard medical doctor will fix me, only getting on a pill regimen will fix me. And it's not that. It is the collaboration of both in an ideal world that can help people be well for good. The anecdote was also very surprising and almost sad, because I hear stories as an integrative health practitioner of your standard PCPs and MDs prescribing medication unnecessarily without even thinking to assess what's going on in that individual's life. How are they sleeping? How are they eating? What stressors are coming up? What kind of trauma have you gone through? To have a whole big picture of who that person is and help to bring them back to health. So I wanted to compare and contrast the two systems, not to enforce one side over the other, but there are benefits and drawbacks to both sides. If you're in the middle of a heart attack and need immediate medical attention, having some belladonna as a homeopathic remedy is not going to help you. You need to be seen by an ER physician. On the other hand, maybe you get your blood work back and your cholesterol numbers are a little high. A conventional doctor would prescribe some sort of cholesterol medication like a statin, whereas a holistic professional would look at other markers, would look at liver health, would look at gut health, and lifestyle and dietary choices to help put that person on a path to bring their cholesterol down by the choices that they make. There are two models of care, and I really wish that they could work more closely together and collaborate, because I work with clients on things like thyroid issues, and they're also doing some blood work and testing with their PCP. And I'm happy to send off for testing for them, or they can bring what they already have. But it's not always possible to have collaborations with those people. There's really the client, the patient, almost as the middle person, going between me, a health practitioner, and their PCP, going back and forth on things. And ideally, it would be a collaborative team effort. When my mother, to give a personal story, when my mother had brain surgery years back, she had a team of doctors that actually had, from my memory that I was aware of, a meeting where they discussed her case together and they created a course of action. That's how it should be all the time. And practitioners use a wide variety of data, self-reporting from the patient or client, lab work, day-to-day information like a food log to make decisions. And the conventional system uses more of a standard of care. That's not necessarily bad, but it doesn't look at the person as an individual. To continue to compare the two, Conventional care is more of a sick care. You go to them for acute situations once you're already sick, where the holistic and integrative side is focused on prevention. How can I keep my body healthy so that I don't have to go to extreme invasive measures? We like to understand the body as a system. And in the conventional world, they have different specialists for different organ systems. And those specialists don't always communicate with each other on certain cases. The conventional system will wait for you to present with symptoms, and then they'll often give some sort of pharmaceutical pill or medication. Here you go, send you on your way. Whereas the holistic and integrative side will dive deep and ask questions about what's going on in this area of your life, your nutrition, your sleep, your stress levels. Let's look at these labs. Let's look at your fecal matter, see what kind of bacteria is in your gut to be causing these problems. And then from there, they come up with a personalized plan to help that person get well. It's not blanket treatments, it is individualized. Address the popular concept of a pill for every ill. Comparing and contrasting these two schools of thought. People in general have become used to, oh, I feel XYZ symptom, there's a pill for that. I'm in a lot of holistic and non-toxic Facebook groups, and even there are many people who ask, what can I take for poor sleep? What can I take for this rash on my eyelid? What can I take for fill in the blank for whatever it is? We're so used to being bombarded with pills or shots or solutions that cover up things, but not necessarily address the root cause. Conventional medication, drugs, pharmaceuticals have their place in certain situations, but I don't think that should be the number one thing that people go to first. A pill likely will not fix the root cause of whatever is going on in your body. At the time of this recording, there are several weight loss shots that are popular right now, and many people are using them and finding some success. But there are also drawbacks to these things. Some people are going blind. Some people get off the shot and gain all of their weight back because they haven't gone to the root cause of looking deep inside and figuring out why they're prone to gain weight in the first place. Is there a genetic component? Is there something wrong with their eating habits, that they're not eating a balanced diet of whole foods? Maybe they're overeating, and that's where the weight gain came from. I'm going to hold your hand when I say that, but people don't want to take responsibility for their own choices and actions and behaviors. It's uncomfortable to look at ourselves in the mirror and think, I had a part in being the way that I am. And this isn't to guilt anybody. It's to empower them that you have more power of your decisions and your choices than you think. Most of the listeners of this podcast are adults with the ability to make choices for their care and their health. And obstacles like it's too expensive to be healthy or it's too difficult to be healthy, I think are mostly obsolete. If you work with someone on an individual level who can look at your situation and come up with a plan that works for you, not for Sally down the street, but for you, you can be successful. While it is easy to just take a pill to shut off a response in your body so you don't have to think about it and continue to live your life, it's not the best and most quality way to live. But we all make our own choices with our own lives. And I want to present this information to give you power and knowledge, and you can decide what to do with it on your own. I want to give some recent statistics about the state of people's health. Data-driven facts that 1 in 2 people in modern times will be affected by cancer. Every 1 in 4 deaths in the U.S. is due to cardiovascular disease. High blood pressure affects 1/3 of the population. And recent studies revealed that almost 90% of Americans are metabolically unhealthy. Obesity affects 1/3 of people, and 2 out of 3 people are considered overweight. Anxiety and mood disorders affect over 40 million people. And the people that I interface with often have multiple issues with their health overall. And the goal is not perfection, but the goal is equipping ourselves with knowledge and power and support to start to make healthier choices for our body so that we don't have to suffer in the skin that we're in while we're alive. We deserve to feel our best, to have the best energy and high quality of life and show up as our best selves. Absolutely deserve that. And we have the power to make choices to make that happen. I want you to pay attention to this. you have a little bit of knowledge from the snippets that I give you here on every episode, there's almost no excuse because there's so much free information on the internet. Not all of it is correct, but it is enough to get you started, that there is no excuse for you to start making better choices for your body. The minute that you start outsourcing the personal responsibility that you have and expecting other people to care for your health and body, that's where we start to lose. If you blame your doctor for putting you on medications that caused XYZ reaction in your body, you're outsourcing responsibility for your health to another person. You have the power to do the research, to find health practitioners and healthcare workers that are going to listen to you, to be on your side, to respect your decisions and support your health. You have the power to do that. I'll tell people, if your doctor laughs at the questions that you ask, treats you with any sort of disrespect, lords their medical degree over your head, they're not respecting you as a person, and perhaps you should find a new care professional. You deserve to have all the facts. I'm a huge proponent of informed consent, which basically means you know all the facts, the pros, the cons of any sort of treatment plan before you agree to it. You are informed before you give consent to proceed. That's the concept. Huge fan of that. But you have the power to take your own health journey into your hands. You get to decide. It is your choice. It is your body. And I want to empower you to make the best choices for yourself. Why you feel the way that you feel isn't random. There are answers out there, and there are people who will be out there to help you get those answers. But the ultimate choice and the person who sets the trajectory of your journey is you. You have to take personal responsibility for your choices. Knowledge is power. The more that you know, the more control that you have over the situation and the more control you have over the choices that you get to make. This is a topic I'm super passionate about, and I hope you gain some insight and knowledge about the conventional medical model versus the integrative and holistic approach. They can work really well together if you, as the consumer, decide to choose your healthcare professionals wisely and to choose good and beneficial things for your body. This is a message that many people need to hear, and it would mean so much to me if you shared this episode with friends and family members. And remember, your body is designed to heal itself. It's got all of that in place. And our job is to support our body to do what it does best. Thanks for tuning in to the Connected Health Podcast. I hope that you can like and subscribe on all platforms that you listen. And you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Connected Habits Coaching. And I also have a free Facebook group called Connected Habits, a community for holistic and sustainable health. On my pages, you will find support, education, and encouragement to help you thrive in your best body. See you in the next episode.